The top stories live from the Sky News City studio. Will they, won't they? Brexit trade talks shrouded in secrecy, rumour and briefing, but businesses mired in uncertainty with just 27 days to go. Just how serious are the real-life implications? I'll speak to the ferry company transporting the Pfizer vaccine to the UK. West Midlands restaurants take the government to court over Tier 3 restrictions that close hospitality in the region. And just how much cheer can there be for retail this festive season? I'll speak to the outgoing chief executive of Fortnum and Mason. Good morning, this is Ian King Live, an hour of business and economic news from the heart of the city. The elaborate mating ritual between the UK and EU over a post-Brexit trade deal continues, but there are very real concerns they may not get the job done. Stories abound about the chances of a deal receding or last-minute glitches. That may, of course, all be part of the choreography, and indeed, during the last few minutes, EU sources have told Reuters that a deal could be imminent. Meanwhile, business remains mired in uncertainty, and there are real-world implications. Ports and ferries are extremely busy as companies stockpile, unclear of the tariffs, rules and disruption that they may face when the transition period ends just 27 days from now. Well, there is, of course, no more important example of the implications than on the transport of COVID vaccines. Stena Line operates ferries between the UK and EU, and it's currently helping move the Pfizer vaccine. The company's director of Brexit policy, Ian Hampton, joins me now. He's been involved in talks with the Cabinet Office and the Department of Transport. Ian, welcome to you. How would you assess the state of readiness right now for the possibility of a no-deal Brexit?
Good morning, Ian. Yes, OK. State of readiness. We're relatively confident, I would say, that we have done all we can to prepare for the end of the transition period. There are still questions outstanding with regards to systems and Northern Ireland Protocol, for example. But I can say from Stena Line's part, and we have trust and confidence in the government to use these last few days wisely, that we will be ready for any eventuality thrown at us. We have to be ready. We have to make sure that we continue to trade and move goods. And like you referenced, the particular point about the vaccine.
But we've heard, for example, that customs posts at Holyhead aren't ready. There's some infrastructure at Belfast that isn't ready. Is it likely, do you think, that there would be an informal continuation of the transition period were there to be no deal agreed?
Yes, we've had it quite clearly understood that pragmatism will be applied. So Holyhead itself is ready and will be ready to continue to receive goods beyond the 31st of December without a glitch, in that we understand the government will take a pragmatic approach with regards to those hauliers that do not, through genuine error, complete the necessary documentation. It's most important that both the UK and the EU support this approach, and we encourage the EU to do the same, to operate with pragmatism.
And is that pragmatism going to be mirrored by countries in the EU, though? Well,
we hope and ask, and that's my ask here today. I mean, there's a lot of trade that moves between the UK and the EU. That trade needs to continue to flow. It's in everyone's best interest that it does. So we ask them to reciprocate and operate a period of easing as we all get used to the new reality of being a third-party country to the EU.
Ian, let me ask you about Northern Ireland in particular. This time yesterday, we were speaking to Ken Murphy, the new Tesco chief executive. He is clearly very uneasy about the situation in Northern Ireland, the fact that these export health certificates have to be issued for food exports going from mainland Britain to Northern Ireland. Do you expect there to be shortages on the supermarket shelves in Northern Ireland?
Look, our understanding is between GB and NI that it is unfettered access. We've had that stated quite clearly. So goods moving between GB and NI should and will be able to continue to move freely. There is nervousness about what happens on the 1st of July when these short-term easing measures come to an end. But even in the Northern Ireland Protocol, remember, it is clearly stated that both the UK and the EU must use best endeavours to ensure trade continues to flow.
What about your Irish sea crossings right now? I gather they have been very, very busy in terms of the volumes.
They have been incredibly busy. We have seen record volumes. It's hard to say, is that just Brexit stockpiling? Is it the consumer habits as a result of lockdown? But they have been extremely busy, and it does prove that we're able to cope with the demands on our network.
What do you think of the sort of items that are being stockpiled?
Well, look, they're consumables. So, I mean, the items that are on the supermarket shelf through to what we use and consume every day. So, and those goods are flowing. and they're in demand.
Now, as we mentioned in the introduction, you're also helping with the transportation of the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine. How's that been going?
Very good. Our ships are operating on time. We're happy to be part of the solution to be able to make sure the UK gets the vaccines that is required so that it can start its programme of vaccination on Monday, according to the government process.
And are there any special measures that you have to put in place? I mean, obviously, we know that the vaccine has to be stored at very low temperatures.
Not at all. I mean, this is a haulage vehicle like any other. So on the car deck, we're able to take them, we're able to accommodate.
And in terms of the volumes that you're seeing on the Harwich crossings right now, how have they been more generally?
They've been increasing, and we can say this is as a result of Brexit. You can see that people are buying more. You can see that those organisations and supermarkets are stockpiling. There is nervousness about congestion on the short sea routes. So we see already perhaps a potential movement of customers to ourselves to avoid that particular route so that they can get an established capacity with us. All we'll say is we're doing everything we can to make sure we remain on time, on schedule, and our capacity is unaffected.
And are you having to put on extra crossings at the moment between the North Sea routes and on the Irish Sea routes at the moment in view of this extra demand?
Not at the moment, but we have added additional capacity. We have new ships in the Irish Sea. We've added an extra vessel on our route between Belfast and Liverpool and Heysham. And we will play with that tonnage as we see fit. So if demand increases on a certain route, then we will do what any commercial business would do and make sure that we're able to provide the capacity that demand requires.
Ian, give me a flavour as to the type of discussions that you've been having with the Department of Transport and the Cabinet Office. I mean, is there a sort of sense of panic, or has it all been fairly sort of sanguine?
Look, I mean, there's anxiety all around, I would say, but those discussions with government have been very fruitful. They are very intense. We spend a lot of time. There are a lot of my colleagues engaged with government. It's in all of our best interests that we work together to ensure that systems are ready, ensure that we educate hauliers so that we can continue to operate as a ferry line to move trade between the UK and the EU, ROI, GB, and so on. So yes, discussions have been intense. But I must say we put our trust into those civil servants, those government departments. They are answering our questions and we are working together. And I'm confident that items such as Holyhead will be resolved. Discussions are ongoing about long-term solutions for Holyhead, but as well as short-term solutions that need to be implemented. And also that plays into the UK as a land bridge. You know, it is still the best route to market for exports from ROI, transiting the UK. That is still an incredibly viable route, and it will remain viable after the 31st of December.
Ian, if we do get a free trade agreement agreed this weekend, which seems to be the latest reports coming out from Reuters right now in the last few minutes, are there still potential glitches to supply chains that you'd be concerned about?
I mean, look, you could say, yes, a trade deal is important because that governs what we buy, how we buy it, the rules that apply, the tariffs that apply. However, it's not going to change the border arrangements because we've become a third-party country. But I hope that it is a good trade deal because that's good for society, that's good for how we can continue to live our lives, and it's in everyone's best interests. But some of this, as we all read in the media, myself as well, you know, there are political obstacles, and you can see the Foreign Secretary spoke very clearly about how they're trying to overcome them. And I just encourage that a trade deal is reached by 31st of December.
All right, Ian Hampton, good to talk to you. Much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Ian.